Well, if you didn't know, America moves on pallets, literally pallets, that are loaded on 18-wheelers and run all over this country. It's how the supply chain gets from all over America or all over the world to your front doorstep. It starts on a pallet, loaded on trains and trucks, but primarily trucks. And right now we have a big problem with trucks. We're short drivers. Jim Grundy is the CEO of the Texas-based energy company Sisu Energy. Jim, good to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And the numbers that I'm looking at are pretty disturbing here. Running on empty, truck driver shortages affecting everyone from supply chains to consumers. 80,000 were short. At least that's the number I'm looking at here today. Is that about right? 80,000 drivers short today.
80,000 short to cover the demands for U.S. solely. When you factor in North America, it's closer to about 200,000 trucks.
Wow, so you bring in Mexico, United States, Canada, 200,000 jobs. And here's the thing, Jim. These are pretty good paying jobs. A lot of these jobs pay over six figures when you get behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler. But I know that a lot of owner-operators went out of business at the front of the pandemic because they weren't shipping. They couldn't make their payments. Their vehicles were repossessed, and they said, to hell with it. We're not doing it anymore. Is that still compounded now?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly the problem. And then you look at the federal response to the trucking shortage, and there's been none. It's actually been higher taxation, a lot of overreach and oversight from the FMCSA and DOT. Since that, I guess, pandemic recovery, truckers have just looked at it and just said it's just not worth the risk of going back in debt again.
Yeah, so let me ask you. I mean, I see these truck driving schools out there. I see a lot of women getting into driving 18-wheelers. How do we attract the people we need to get? Because look, as I said off the top, the world moves on pallets. It's true, isn't it? I mean, I don't care what your product is. You go to any big box store or a Costco, you see it all comes in on pallets, lots of them. How do you attract the people you need to these schools? Because a lot of these schools, they don't take very long. A few months, you're behind the wheel, you're delivering it, and you're making really solid money, a lot of folks are. How do we attract the people in?
Yeah, I can tell you what we're doing is not enough at all. So when you consider that, you think these guys work, what moves them is money. At the end, that's why they do this job. I mean, not a lot of people want to be away from home 2 to 3 months at a time. It's a different lifestyle, but you take a look at what we're doing out here, and we have guys netting $300,000 and $400,000 a year take home, grossing $600,000 to $700,000 a year, working one truck, working legally, doing what we're doing down here in the Southwest U.S.
$600,000 gross, 400 or 500, 6 to 7. For somebody who's pounding it, somebody who's hustling, right? I mean, you got to be hustling like anything else. But you're clearing 400,000, 500. That's not a bad gig. I don't, even with inflation, a lot of people can make ends meet on 400 grand, 500 grand all day long, right? I mean, especially if you live in states where the cost of living is lower. And so if you're located in Missouri or Arkansas or even Michigan, where I live, you're going to do better than if you live in California or New York, obviously. So how do so here I go back to this. We see so many people that are disillusioned with going to college and getting $100,000 in debt. By the time you're old enough, you could have $1 million in assets, not $100,000 in debt if you played your cards right. Right?
Yeah. It's just, it comes down, a lot of it is perception. You have jobs that are, like plumbers and electricians, along with truck drivers right now that are six-figure jobs, well to six-figure jobs, and you still have folks coming out of school with degrees that are sitting at desks for 40 and 50 grand and in substantial debt. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It
doesn't make a lot of sense.
We have a few 23, 24-year-olds for us that are making $250,000 easy a year.
They're 23, 24 years old making $250,000 while their friends are sitting at a desk making 50 grand with $100,000 in college debt. Now, here's a question I have to ask. Is one of the challenges to getting enough people driving trucks. Also, the fact that marijuana has been legalized all over this country. I mean, they've got to pass the drug test, got to pass the ability to pass a random drug tests and so forth to drive these 18-wheelers, which I appreciate. I don't want people that are compromised behind the wheel of those rigs because bad things happen. But I've heard from people that I know that run trucking associations here in the Midwest that that's one of the problems that they face. They've got good candidates, good people come through, and they can't pass the drug test because they smoke weed on the weekend or whatever. Is that a problem?
It definitely doesn't help. It doesn't help the sourcing aspect of finding truck drivers right now. The current climate, you have 30 plus states right now where you can have some sort of, I believe, medicinal marijuana. It's not environmentally on the macro from the federal government to marijuana to whatever. There's just not a lot of things attractive to be a truck driver right now. But that's why we're doing a full circle here and like, hey, there's folks still trying to recover from this pandemic right now, working 2 to 3 jobs. We're out here making $250,000 to $400,000 a year per truck driver, owner or operator that works for us. So it's just one of those things like, hey, if we can help as many people as we can get on their feet, then we're going to do so. But there's a lot of things stacked up against the industry right now for sure.
It would seem to me that truck driving schools would be very popular right now. And I know they're out there. I hear them on the radio here and there, and I hear them and see them in different places. But I think that if they ramped up their efforts, they need to attract students. And I think if kids knew, boys and girls, men and women, if they knew the kind of money we're talking about here, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 annually. I mean, look, you don't have to be a truck driver your whole life. You go be a truck driver for 10 years, you can really make something of a nest egg, can't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why we have a lot of investors that stack trucks with us with no driver. And the expectation is that with the amount of folks that we have applying, which is literally hundreds per week trying to get on with us, that they want their assets moving because we've kind of turned into an investment hub for a lot of folks to park their cash because of the amount of money that is being made. So the opportunities are definitely.
I was going to ask you before we run out of time here. Sisu, S-I-S-U, is the name of your company, Sisu Energy. How do people find you? How do they find a chance to, if somebody's listening to the program right now, say, hey, I'll go live in Fort Worth, I'll go live wherever, and for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, I'm getting behind the wheel. How do they find you? How do they apply for a job?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to our website. It's SisuEnergyLLC.com, SisuEnergyLLC.com. I would say call our recruiting department, but we've been doing this for 4 years now. Absolutely overwhelmed the response we received globally, literally folks globally calling us, trying to get on with us.
Well, I hope you get more. SisuEnergyLLC.com, SisuEnergyLLC.com. I want to help Jim out. Jim Grundy, I greatly appreciate you being here. You've brought attention to something I was aware of, but I'm not sure how many people are. We need truck drivers, folks. We need to move the American dream down the highways, and we need to get to it. Jim, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Greatly appreciate you. All right. When we come back, what's in your pocket? Is it worth a fortune? Could be. Check your coins. Coins at SteveGruber.com if you got collectibles or coins that are interesting to look at. We'll talk about them here from time to time. We'll do that after the break.